Offshore explosions and fires, the legal ramifications of a catastrophic offshore accident. Hi, I'm David Vicknair with Scott Vicknair Injury Lawyers. A lot of times when we are dealing with an offshore explosion lawsuit or claim surrounding an offshore explosion, one of the first considerations becomes immediate recovery of the injured worker who has, in many cases, suffered significant burn injuries and needs immediate trauma care in the burn unit. And so a lot of times when those families will reach out to us in the very immediate aftermath of that explosion and incident offshore, the first consideration as we talk through what they should or should not be worrying about is simply focusing on the health and prioritization of recovery of those burn injuries, which can be a very arduous process. And a lot of times those victims, those people who were injured in those explosions, it's really touch and go in the first coming weeks on their survival, how significant and what degree the burns are, and what their recovery is going to look like. And so a lot of times we're initially consulting with family members of the injured person offshore who are immediately seeking legal counsel. It's actually a good thing that they're immediately seeking legal counsel, because one of the first things that a drilling company, a offshore company, any type of company in that arena does once there's a catastrophic offshore incident and an explosion is, guess who gets flown out there on a helicopter? The oil company's lawyers, the drilling producers' lawyers. Their lawyers are involved from day one, and so it only makes sense that the injured party and their family should also have lawyers involved from day one to tell them how to navigate the process, what they should be thinking of and worrying about, and also ensuring, as the best they can, that we send out letters to all the companies to preserve any and all pieces of evidence so that if anything is destroyed, that it is possible that we could potentially get an adverse presumption against that oil company, that drilling company, that they destroyed or spoliated very critical evidence which would go to show what caused the explosion. And so anytime there is a maritime fire injury claim or an offshore platform explosion accident, you want to be thinking about how do we in the first week or two, number one, focus on recovery of the injured person, but also 1A, during that same period of time, get legal notices out to everyone to preserve all evidence, to preserve equipment. Equipment that may have blown up, for example, may be critical for experts to inspect, be able to deconstruct exactly what happens when you've got 4, 5, 6, 7 different companies involved in this drilling operation, different people responsible for different things, and everybody's pointing the finger a year or two later when they don't want to have to write the check for the devastating impact that this could have had on the worker, on their health, on their future, on their family's financial security. Everybody's pointing the finger where they don't want to write the check a year or two later, but the main focus at the outset many times is how do we preserve everything so when the experts come in to investigate and identify who was at fault for this, we have enough evidence and or a hammer against that oil company, that producer, that drilling company who got rid of critical evidence even though we told them not to, and we can track and show that we told them not to. And so those are some of the main initial considerations. We are handling these claims right now. We've handled a lot of these in the past. So if you'd like to talk to us, or if you're unfortunately found your family in the scenario of having a devastating offshore explosion and injuring somebody in your household, please give us a call at Scott Vicknair Injury Lawyers for a free consultation. We can kind of talk you through the initial steps, a little bit about our experience in handling these types of claims, if we're handling right now, and see how we can help your family navigate through this together.